Hey guys, welcome to my new channel. I'm Madeline and I like to talk about stuff. And today we're gonna be talking about weird dreams that I've had because I have a lot of weird dreams I've had, so be a little prepared. This first story that I'm going to tell, the first dream, this one's really funny. And this one's my favorite to tell to people because, I don't know, it's not something you would usually think you would hear in your life, but yeah. And it's really hard to visualize, so I'll probably put a little drawing or something, or I'll show you because there's a couple drawings, right? This was years ago, this was 2 or 3 years ago, and I drew and wrote all this during class with my highlighters. Anyways, I lived in one of 2 buildings. One was stores and the other was apartments. They somehow connected with an elevator despite being separate, spelled without an E, separate buildings. There was a wooden plank that connected the top 2 floors, and I happened to live on the top floor, which meant I had the one with the connected plank on the apartment side. And that's a picture of the building, and somehow an elevator would go from here to here and stuff, and it was really weird. And I lived up there, which meant I had access to the plank. Oh, also, inside of all the apartment buildings, there's just an elevator, just in your room, no hallway, just I had that whole top floor, and there was just an elevator in there. Imagine that curtain was an elevator. They could just walk into my room, but I'm not really sure. One day, I was minding my own business, spelled business, in my apartment. Suddenly, a swarm of people were standing on the plank. It seemed like they were protesting because they were all holding signs and yelling. So I opened the door. People were all yelling, and one looked me in the eyes and said, "Redheads should not have a right to church." Now, no offense if you're a redhead. I'm not sure what that means, but I guess my brain had a grudge against you. And I guess I did in the dream, because they tried to go into my elevator so that they could they tried to go into my apartment so they could use my elevator. And I started chasing them because I guess I was against redheads having a right to church. I also forgot to mention that all of the protesters were blondes and brunettes. None of them were redheads. Wait. I ran after to stop them. I guess. I guess twice. I guess I was against the idea of redheads in church. Anyways, since the protesters were using the elevator, I had to use the stairs that were in the store building. Remember, there's the apartment and the store. Yeah, you get it. So I went there. I don't know why, but the church was in the basement of both buildings. It would have been right there, under all that grass. I guess I didn't write that in the front. Anyways, I was running down the stairs to where the church should have been, but instead there was a ton of scraps and debris, and it looked like that. And in the middle, there was the elevator, right? Little elevator. And I remember there were 2 people in the elevator, and they were both looking at me with their "redhead should have a right to church" signs, and it was slowly closing. And I was running for my life. I was sprinting. I was sprinting because I did not want them to close that elevator and end up in the church. Because I guess there was a floor. It was the 2 buildings, and then in the basement there was a floor of debris, and then there's a floor of the church, which was really weird. And I just needed to stop them. And I was sprinting, and the door was about to close, and I was right there, and I remember just going, "No!" And it all was in slow motion, so I went, "No!" and then it it closed. So, moral of the story, I'm not too sure. I don't think it should be redheads should not have a right to church because, number one, I'm friends with like 1.5 redheads. Number two, that's not very kind. But yeah, I just went to go play a little bit of VR with my friends, and now I have to turn the big light on because time passes. Ziggy, stop. I'm gonna get like copyrighted or something, and like, yeah. Anyways, we have our next dream. And this one is really weird because when I'm like half asleep, half awake, I start to like hallucinate, if that makes sense. And basically, this one takes place on Christmas, which is very hard to sleep on. Like, you know, it's very hard to go to sleep on Christmas. This one's really short, it's like a page long. On Christmas Eve, I had a dream where I was a Christmas elf and I was making toys. My job was to take packages from one conveyor belt, pick them up, and move them to the other, right? That's what I would just do all day as my Christmas elf. But the weird part was, like, that was the entire dream, that was it. But the weird part about the dream was, like, my eyes were open, so I could see what I was doing, but at the same time, holy crap. What I was saying, I saw myself like as the elf, like picking up the packages, but at the same time my eyes were open. It's really confusing to explain. Like my eyes were open and I could see what I was doing in real life, but like in my head I was a Christmas elf. But in real life I saw myself picking up pillows and chucking them off my bed. Like, hold up, I saw myself just going. Anyways, that brings me to my next dream. This one took place maybe like Thanksgiving break, right? This one I was also half asleep, half awake. So it was like that weird like hallucination thing. Like I was like going crazy. It's really hard to explain. Anyways, I don't have it written down, so I'm just gonna tell you. So basically, right before bed, right? It's like Thanksgiving break, and I'm grinding on Dress to Impress. Like, it's like 3 a.m. and I'm like on Dress to Impress, just trying to become top model or whatever. I barely remember anything about the game. And I am grinding and I'm winning every single round like the diva I am. Or was. And like, I was just playing Dress to Impress for like, I want to say, like 6 hours straight. And it was like 3 a.m. by the time I was like, you know what, I'm gonna go to bed. So I lay down in my bed. And the moment I close my eyes, I just see like visions of like Dress to Impress. And I stood up. This is when I was like, when my friend called me. Anyways, I like closed my eyes. And the first thing I saw, like right when I closed my eyes, was just like Dress to Impress. And I started tweaking out, and I don't know who I was talking to. I want you to take a look at my room. How many people do you think sleep in here? Just me. So I don't know who I was talking to, but I just like sat up. I just went like, guys, enough with the Dress to Impress. And then I sat back down, I laid back down to go back to sleep. And of course, Dress to Impress again. And moral of the story, this one does have a moral. Don't play Dress to Impress for 6 hours straight and right before bed, because you're just not gonna be able to unsee it. Because like, after that repeatedly, I just kept seeing Dress to Impress. Like, close my eyes, Dress to Impress. Close my eyes, Dress to Impress. Close my eyes, Dress to Impress. Close my eyes, Dress to... It was horrible. I didn't sleep that night. So just don't play Dress to Impress for 6 hours, and yeah, I don't play it anymore. It kind of got bummy after like the Valentine's update where they like changed the layout and horrible. This next stream is very confusing, but it makes sense with visuals. So I'm just gonna draw little pictures. Also, I don't have it written out, so I have screenshots of me texting it to my friend. But here we go. So I lived in this house and it was all purple and black. It was like the Addams Family house. I was in the Addams Family. I was Gomez. I know I'm a girl. They had like 3 boys and only one could sing. And I was Gomez, and it was kind of like that. It was like purple and black and like, if that makes sense. I was in this house, but half of it was like out in the open, like chopped in half. And you could just walk outside, and outside of it, there's this big steep hill. Like I was at the top of the hill and it went down, and at the bottom there was a beach. And for some reason, my entire extended family lived in that house. And I just wanted my own room because I just share one with my little sister, because this is actually very realistic, but she was screaming on her iPad, so I didn't want to share a room with her. So then I went down to the beach one day and I was just sitting, and then the water started rising and I got so scared because I guess that was like deadly. So then I like was climbing up all the sand, but I was slipping, so I almost died. And then I was fine, I guess, because I made it back up. Where did I leave off? Give me a second. Oh, then this is like a few days later. I dug like into the ground. It was like, you know, this is like, pretend this is a wall. I'll just draw it. This is a wall. This is the floor. Like, I dug like right in this little like area, right? Like right here. And I found a nether portal, like for Minecraft. And I decided to go in, and it was just like this big dark house. It was like the one that I had, except there was no purple. It was just more black. And I found this big spiky orb thing, and I took it and I went back to my house. Like I went back through the nether portal, and all of a sudden when I had this spiky orb, all these little like creatures started coming to me, and I was like, yo, I can like, for some reason I just knew. I was like, I can tame one of these with this orb. So then I looked up on my phone like which one was the rarest, and it was like this like pink bird. It was like this like chunky pink bird, and it was like, oh, and it had a little like swoop, and it was like pink and orange. And I don't remember if I tamed it or not, but yeah, that's kind of it for that part. And then the next thing I remember is something about a radio, and I was in a city, but the city was all sand, and I remember I was next to a zip line on a hill, and there was a big clock tower next to me, and I saw my friend come from the zip line, and my friend and I were like talking, and she was like, we should hang out sometime, even though we were already hanging out. And we were trying to figure out what we could do to hang out, and she was like, what if we went to the Lemme concert? And I don't remember what happened after that, besides for running on the beach and like running to some chairs. It was like rocking chairs. It was really weird. But yeah, I don't remember if we went to the Lemme concert. I hope we did. That would have been really interesting. Also, I forgot to mention this because I forgot to type it out in the text, but somewhere in that story, my mom wanted me to sleep sitting upright. Like, she wanted me to go to sleep, like posture like this. And I remember just having like a full-blown crash out because of that. I was like, no, this is stupid. I'm not sleeping like that. Like, it was a full crash out. So, moral of that story, Lemme has some pretty good music. And don't have your entire extended family live in your house. I believe it's pronounced miserables. I've had a lot of weird dreams. Some of them are kind of sad. Oh, this one's kind of funny, but I don't want to name drop my friend. So, I'll just name drop myself. Well, that doesn't really make sense. I already did that. Anyways, I also wrote this one down. And I drew a little picture. Not much happened in the dream, but basically, everyone was an alternate version of themselves. My name was Madeline, My name was Madeline instead of Madeline, and my friend's name was an also weird spelling of their name. And we were skateboarders. And that's it. That's literally all I've written down. And there's me as a skateboarder, and there's my friend. And I don't skateboard in real life, so I guess it really was. But I remember, like, a ton of people in that dream had, like, alternate names. Moral of that story, there was not even a plot line, so, yeah. I think that's kind of it. Let me know if you want more videos, because this is gonna be a boring summer. And I know this is fun. I like editing and talking and stuff. So, if you have any video suggestions, let me know down in the comment section below. But yeah, I'll see you hopefully in the next video.